After using the Saccater aéra as my daily driver for the past few weeks, I think it solves one of the biggest problems with planar IEMs. It weighs just under 4 grams per earpiece, yet it still delivers the speed, detail and clarity that make people love planar drivers in the first place. That's unusual. Most planar IEMs ask you to make a choice: incredible technical performance or long-term comfort. They're often heavier than comparable dynamic driver IEMs, and after an hour or two, you definitely notice them. The Aera tries to eliminate that compromise. So, in this review I'll cover what makes its design different, how it performs in real-world listening, where it falls short, and whether it's worth your time and money. The most interesting thing about the Aera isn't the spec sheet, it's how it's built. Instead of installing a standard planar driver inside a shell, Saccater, together with Letshuoer, designed the aluminum housing around the 9.6mm planar driver itself. The driver and shell become a single integrated structure. According to Saccater, that reduces internal components by roughly 20% while increasing the effective diaphragm area to around 92%, compared with roughly 55% in many conventional planar designs. Whether or not those numbers matter to you, the result definitely does. The first thing you notice is the weight, or more accurately, the lack of it. These almost disappear in your ears. If you've used something like the Letshuoer S12, you know that feeling of taking them out after a long session. The Aera never really reaches that point. I could comfortably wear them for several hours without feeling any pressure or fatigue. The integrated shell also seems to help acoustically. There's a cleaner, more focused presentation, with less of the hollow, slightly metallic characteristics that some budget planar IEMs can have. Driving them is refreshingly simple. With roughly 13 to 15 ohms impedance and 103 dB sensitivity, they sound excellent from virtually anything. A smartphone dongle, USB-C DAC, DAP or desktop setup. There's no need to hunt for the perfect source. In the box you get both a standard 3.5mm cable and a USB-C cable with an integrated DAC, both using standard 2-pin connectors. The accessories are straightforward rather than luxurious, but they're practical. Fit is excellent thanks to the compact shell, although tip selection remains important. Once you find the right seal, isolation is solid and cable noise stays very low. Now let's talk about the hearing-friendly claim. Normally I take marketing like this with a healthy dose of skepticism, but in this case there's actually something behind it. Because the driver is so efficient, you don't have to increase the volume just to hear fine detail. Micro details remain audible even at lower listening levels. Of course, no IEM will protect your hearing from listening too loudly, but these make it much easier to stay at safer volumes without feeling like you're missing any information. That's a meaningful advantage for anyone who listens for hours a day. Now let's get to what really matters: how the Saccater aéra actually sounds. From the very first listen, it's clear that this isn't an IEM trying to impress with exaggerated bass or overly bright treble. Instead, it aims for a balanced, natural presentation that lets the music speak for itself. The tuning follows a Harman-inspired philosophy, with tight controlled bass, clean articulate mids and a well-extended treble that stays smooth rather than aggressive. Perhaps its biggest achievement is avoiding the upper frequency glare that has become a common criticism of many planar IEMs. As a result, the Aera retains the speed and detail that planar drivers are known for, while remaining comfortable to listen to for long sessions. Starting with electronic music, the first thing that stands out is speed. Bass notes start and stop extremely quickly, giving kick drums and synth bass impressive definition. The sub-bass reaches low enough to satisfy most listeners, but it prioritizes texture over sheer impact. If you're expecting the chest-rattling slam of a large dynamic driver, this isn't that kind of tuning. Instead, it delivers clean, disciplined low frequencies that never bleed into the mid-range. Vocals are where the Aera really shines. Female vocals sound intimate and open without becoming shouty, while male vocals retain enough body to sound natural. The presentation leans towards accuracy rather than warmth, so don't expect thick, romantic mids. Instead, you get excellent clarity and separation. Imaging is another strong point. Instrument placement is precise and there's enough air between elements to make busy mixes feel organized. The soundstage is wider than many similarly priced single dynamic driver IEMs, although depth is more average than spectacular. Switching to orchestral music, progressive rock or anything with complex layering really highlights the strengths of the planar driver. Transients are exceptionally fast, drums have crisp attack, cymbals sound textured instead of splashy, string decay and room ambience remain easy to follow even during dense passages. The detail retrieval is impressive, not because it throws every tiny sound in your face, but because it presents information naturally. That's probably my favorite quality of the Aera. It stays highly resolving without becoming exhausting. Many planar IEMs start to sound bright or hard after about 90 minutes. The Aera simply doesn't. No product is perfect, neither is this one. The biggest compromise is bass quality. It's accurate and well controlled, but listeners who primarily enjoy hip-hop, EDM or bass-heavy pop might want more physical impact. Fit also depends heavily on achieving a proper seal. Choose the wrong ear tips and bass performance drops noticeably. And because this is still an early product, we don't have years of durability data. On the other hand, the strengths are significant. Comfort is exceptional. The tuning balances detail with long-term listenability. The technical performance is genuinely impressive for such a compact planar. It's easy to drive and the efficient design encourages lower listening volumes without sacrificing detail. That's a combination you don't often find. The Saccater aéra makes most sense for listeners who value comfort as much as sound quality. If you've always loved planar detail but wish they were lighter, more efficient and easier to wear all day, this is one of the strongest options currently available. It's also an excellent introduction to planar technology if you're coming from dynamic driver IEMs and want that faster, cleaner presentation without jumping into something overly bright. On the other hand, if your priority is maximum bass impact, there are other choices. The Saccater aéra doesn't try to be the most powerful planar IEM. Instead, it tries to be the one you actually want to wear every day. And surprisingly, it succeeds. You get genuine planar speed and detail, remarkably low weight, excellent comfort and a tuning that's engaging without becoming fatiguing. For me, that's what makes the Aera interesting. Not because it's chasing the highest technical score, but because it delivers planar performance in a package that's genuinely easy to live with. If that's been the compromise you've been waiting to disappear, the Saccater aéra deserves a place on your shortlist. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, then please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.